Futsal.
Futsal is a variant of football that is played on a smaller field and mainly played indoors. It can be considered a version of five-a-side football. Its name comes from the Portuguese futebol de salão, which can be translated as hall football. It was developed in Brazil and Uruguay in the 1930s and 1940s. In Brazil, futsal is played by more people than football but does not attract as many spectators as the outdoor sport. Several futsal players have moved on to careers as successful professional football players. Futsal is a game played between two teams of 5 players each, one of whom is the goalkeeper. Unlimited substitutions are permitted. Unlike some other forms of indoor football, the game is played on a hard court surface delimited by lines. Walls or boards are not used. Futsal is also played with a smaller ball with less bounce than a regular football due to the surface of the pitch. The surface, ball and rules create an emphasis on improvisation, creativity and technique as well as ball control and passing in small spaces.
Naming.
Futsal comes from the Portuguese futebol de salão, which can be translated as hall football. During the sport's Second World Championships held in Madrid in 1985, the Spanish name futbol sala was used. Since then, all other names have been officially and internationally changed to futsal. The naming was due to a dispute between FIFA, the predecessor to the AMF, and FIFA over the name of football. FIFA has registered the word futsal in 1985, Madrid, Spain. Since then FIFA has also started using the term futsal. The name has been translated into Spanish as futbol de salón, Italian football sala, and into French as football de salle.
History. The origins.
Futsal started in 1930 when Juan Carlos Seriani Gravure, French Wikipedia, a teacher in Montevideo, Uruguay, created a version of indoor football for recreation in YMCAs. This new sport was developed originally on basket courts, and a rule book was published in September 1933. His goal was to create a team game that could be played indoor or outdoor but that was similar to football, really popular in Uruguay after the victory of the 1930s World League and the Olympic golden medals in 1924 and 1928. Seriani, writing the rule book, took as example the principles of football, the possibility to touch the ball with every part of the body except for the hands, but he took rules from other sports too, from basketball the number of team players, 5, and the game duration, 40 actual minutes. From water polo the rules about the goalkeeper. From handball for the field and net sizes. The result is a lively, evolved, dynamic, active and supportive sport. The game spread immediately in all Latin America, becoming a real cult. It was easily played by everyone, everywhere and in every weather condition, could be played in winter without any difficulty and helped every athlete to stay in shape. These were the reasons that convinced the Brazilian Jair Lotufo to bring this game in his country and to adapt it to the needs of physical education. Initially, the rules were not uniform. In 1956 the rules was modified by Habib Mahfouz and Luiz Gonzaga de Oliveira Fernandes inside the YMCA of São Paulo, Brazil to authorize seniors to compete. Luiz de Oliveira wrote the Book of Rules of Futsal in 1956, then adopted also at international level. In 1965 the Confederación Sudamericana de Futebol de Salón, South American Futsal Confederation, was formed, consisting of Uruguay, Paraguay, Peru, Argentina and Brazil. Shortly after a unique tournament was organized and it attracted some interest in South American media, which usually began to follow futsal. In particular, it was the journalist José Antonio Ingles to passionately contribute to the rapid spread of the game, as well as being credited as the man who coined the acronym futsal to define the sport.
From FIFA to AMF.
The sport began to spread across South America, and its popularity ensured that a governing body was formed under the name of Federación Internacional de Futebol de Salón, FIFA, in 1971 in São Paulo. FIFA initially comprised Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Paraguay, Peru, Portugal and Uruguay, along with the World Championships. The new institution counted 32 participating countries and its first president was John I. Havelang, joined by the secretary Luís Gonzaga de Oliveira. In 1975, the federation's chief passed to FIFA, and in 1980 Januario Glesio Neto was elected, who worked to make this sport recognized worldwide by supranational bodies. The first FIFUSA World Championships were held in São Paulo, Brazil, in 1982, with hosts Brazil crowned champions against Paraguay in front of an audience of 12,000 people, with Uruguay third. Then the federation began to work to bring the big event in Europe. In 1985, the second Futsal World Cup was organized in Madrid, Spain, where the Brazilian team won again. The event was a success, with a considerable media interest and a huge response from the audience, thanks to the Spanish TV that filmed the event. In 1985, Joseph Blatter, at the time secretary of FIFA, Federación Internacional de Futbol Association, the football governing body in the world, thought it was the right time to enlarge its influence and, therefore, to also deal with indoor soccer. Knowing that the federation president John I. Havelang was the head of FIFUSA from 1971 to 1974, the Swiss decided to summon in Brazil the world governing body of futsal. Surprisingly, the Congress voted against the unification. Due to a dispute between FIFA and FIFUSA over the name of football, FIFUSA has registered the word futsal in 1985, Madrid, Spain. FIFA wanted to promote and spread its own version of indoor football, different from the original one played in the South American countries, but didn't manage to find an agreement with FIFUSA in the Rio de Janeiro Congress in 1989. On May 2, 1990, the Brazilian Federation finally broke away from FIFUSA and in September 25 in Bogotá contributed to the founding of the Confederación Panamericana de Futebol de Salão, PANAFUTSAL, together with Paraguay, Colombia, Mexico, Uruguay, Argentina, Venezuela, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Bolivia, Ecuador, Netherlands, Antilles, Aruba and Canada. The conference held in Guatemala in 2000 between members of PANAFUTSAL and FIFA aimed at the reconstruction of the dispute between the two institutions and the achievement of futsal in the pure version that excited many in South America. The signing of the protocol, however, was not followed by concrete actions, and FIFA kept on promoting its version of futsal. So the PANAFUTSAL decided to create a new body worldwide for the preservation of futsal. In December 2002 the Asociación Mundial de Futsal, AMF, was founded, currently composed by 40 national federations affiliated and 3 continental bodies, one of which was FIFS. In 2002, members of PANAFUTSAL formed AMF, an international futsal governing body independent of FIFA, in reaction to the alleged stagnancy of futsal under FIFUSA. Both FIFA and AMF continue to administer the game.
Governing bodies.
Futsal currently has 2 governing bodies, Asociación Mundial de Futbol de Salón, AMF, and Federación Internacional de Futbol Association, FIFA. AMF is the successor organization to the original governing body. FIFA later took an interest in futsal, however talks between FIFA and AMF to reconcile governing were not successful. FIFA organizes its own separate competitions.
Rules.
There are currently 2 governing bodies, Asociación Mundial de Futbol de Salón, AMF, and Federación Internacional de Futbol Association, FIFA. AMF and FIFA are responsible for maintaining and promulgating the official rules of their respective versions of futsal. FIFA publishes its futsal rules as the laws of the game, in which each of the 17 laws is a thematically related collection of individual regulations. The laws define all aspects of the game, including what may be changed to suit local competitions and leagues.
Players, equipment and officials.
There are 5 players on each team, one of whom is the goalkeeper. The maximum number of substitutes allowed is 9, FIFA changed 2012, with unlimited substitutions during the match. Substitutes can come on even when the ball is in play, but the player coming off must leave the pitch before the substitute can enter the playing field. If a team has fewer than 3 players in the team, The match is abandoned and counted as a loss for the team with the lack of players. The kit is made up of a jersey or shirt with sleeves, shorts, socks, shin guards made out of rubber or plastic, and shoes with rubber soles. The goalkeeper is allowed to wear long trousers and a different colored kit, to distinguish himself from the other players in the team and the referee. He is also allowed to wear elbow pads because the surface is about as hard as a tennis court or basketball court. Jewelry is not allowed, nor are other items that could be dangerous to the player wearing the item or to other active participants. The match is controlled by the referee, who enforces the laws of the game, and the first referee is the only one who can legally abandon the match because of interference from outside the pitch. This referee is also assisted by a second referee who typically watches over the goal lines or assists the primary referee with calls on fouls or plays. The decisions made by the referees are final and can only be changed if the referees think it is necessary and play has not restarted. There is also a third referee and a timekeeper, who are provided with equipment to keep a record of fouls in the match. In the event of injury to the referee or second referee, the third referee will replace the second referee.
The pitch.
The pitch is made up of wood or artificial material, or similar surface, although any flat, smooth and non-abrasive material may be used. The length of the pitch is in the range of 38 to 42 m, 42 to 46 yards, and the width is in the range of 20 to 25 m, 22 to 27 yards, in international matches. For other matches, it can be 25 to 42 m, 27 to 46 yards, in length, while the width can be 16 to 25 m, 17 to 27 yards, as long as the length of the longer boundary lines, touch lines, are greater than the shorter boundaries where the goals are placed, goal lines. The standard size court for an international is 40 m x 20 m, 44 yards x 22 yards. The ceiling must be at least 4 m, 4 yards, high. A rectangular goal is positioned at the middle of each goal line. The inner edges of the vertical goal posts must be 3 m, 3.3 yards, apart, and the lower edge of the horizontal crossbar supported by the goal posts must be 2 m, 2.2 yards, above the ground. Nets made of hemp, jute or nylon are attached to the back of the goal posts and crossbar. The lower part of the nets is attached to curved tubing or another suitable means of support. The depth of the goal is 80 centimeters, 31 in, at the top and 1 m, 3.3 feet, at the bottom. In front of each goal is an area known as the penalty area. This area is created by drawing quarter circles with a 6 m, 6.6 yards, radius from the goal line, centered on the goalposts. The upper part of each quarter circle is then joined by a 3.16 m, 3.46 yards, line running parallel to the goal line between the goalposts. The line marking the edge of the penalty area is known as the penalty area line. The penalty area marks where the goalkeeper is allowed to touch the ball with his hands. The penalty mark is 6 meters from the goal line when it reaches the middle of the goalposts. The second penalty mark is 10 meters, 11 yards, from the goal line when it reaches the middle of the goalposts. A penalty kick from the penalty spot is awarded if a player commits a foul inside the penalty area. The second penalty spot is used if a player commits his team's sixth foul in the opposing team's half or in his own half in the area bordered by the halfway line and an imaginary line parallel to the halfway line passing through the second penalty mark. The free kick is taken from the second penalty mark. Any standard team handball pitch can be used for futsal, including goals and floor markings.
Duration and tie-breaking methods.
A standard match consists of 2 equal periods of 20 minutes. The length of either half is extended to allow penalty kicks to be taken or a direct free kick to be taken against a team that has committed more than 5 fouls. The interval between the two halves cannot exceed 15 minutes. In some competitions, the game cannot end in a draw, so away goals, extra time and penalties are the 3 methods for determining the winner after a match has been drawn. Away goals mean that if the team's score is level after playing 1 home and 1 away game, the goals scored in the away match count as double. Extra time consists of 2 periods of 5 minutes. If no winner is produced after these methods, 5 penalties are taken, and the team that has scored the most wins. If it is not decided after 5 penalties, it continues to go on with 1 extra penalty to each team at a time until one of them has scored more goals than the other. Unlike extra time, the goals scored in a penalty shootout do not count towards the goals scored throughout the match.
The start and restart of play.
At the beginning of the match, a coin toss is used to decide who will start the match. A kickoff is used to signal the start of play and is also used at the start of the second half and any periods of extra time. It is also used after a goal has been scored, with the other team starting the play. After a temporary stoppage for any reason not mentioned in the laws of the game, the referee will drop the ball where the play was stopped, provided that, prior to the stoppage, the ball was in play and had not crossed either the touch lines or goal lines. If the ball goes over the goal line or touch line, hits the ceiling, or the play is stopped by the referee, the ball is out of play. If it hits the ceiling of an indoor arena, play is restarted with a kick into the opponents of the team that last touched the ball, under the place where it hit the ceiling.
Lack of offside rule.
Unlike football, there is no offside rule in futsal. Attackers can get much closer to the goal than they can in the traditional outdoor version of football.
Misconduct.
A direct free kick can be awarded to the opposing team if a player succeeds or attempts to kick or trip an opponent, jumps, charges or pushes an opponent, or strikes or attempts to strike an opponent. Holding, touching or spitting at an opponent are offences that are worthy of a direct free kick, as are sliding in to play the ball while an opponent is playing it or carrying, striking or throwing the ball, except the goalkeeper. These are all accumulated fouls. The direct free kick is taken where the infringement occurred, unless it is awarded to the defending team in the penalty area, in which case the free kick may be taken from anywhere inside the penalty area. A penalty kick is awarded if a player commits one of the fouls that are worthy of a direct free kick inside his own penalty area. The position of the ball does not matter as long as it is in play, but for a penalty kick, the ball must be on the outer line, perpendicular to the center of the net. An indirect free kick is awarded to the opposing team if a goalkeeper clears the ball but then touches it with his hands before anyone else, if he controls the ball with his hands when it has been kicked to him by a teammate, or if he touches or controls the ball with his hands or feet in his own half for more than 4 seconds. An indirect free kick is also awarded to the opposing team if a player plays in a dangerous manner, deliberately obstructs an opponent, prevents the goalkeeper from throwing the ball with his hands or anything else for which play is stopped to caution or dismiss a player. The indirect free kick is taken from the place where the infringement occurred. Yellow and red cards are both used in futsal. The yellow card is to caution players over their actions, and, if they get 2, they are given a red card, which means they are sent off the field. A yellow card is shown if a player shows unsporting behavior, dissent, persistent infringement of the laws of the game, delaying the restart of play, failing to respect the distance of a player from the ball when play is being restarted, infringement of substitution procedure or entering, re-entering and leaving the pitch without the referee's permission. A player is shown the red card and sent off if they engage in serious foul play, violent conduct, spitting at another person, or denying the opposing team a goal by handling the ball, except the goalkeeper inside his penalty area. Also punishable with a red card is denying an opponent moving towards the player's goal a goal-scoring opportunity by committing an offense punishable by a free kick or a penalty kick and using offensive, insulting or abusive language or gestures. A player who has been sent off must leave the vicinity of the pitch. A substitute player is permitted to come on 2 minutes after a teammate has been sent off, unless a goal is scored before the end of the 2 minutes. If a team with more players scores against a team with fewer players, another player can be added to the team with an inferior number of players. If the teams are equal when the goal is scored or if the team with fewer players scores, both teams remain with the same number of players.
Ranking. Men's ranking.
As of April 28, 2014, The top 25 teams according to the ELO-based rankings are: as of May 7, 2012, the top 25 teams according to a ranking based partly on the ELO system and partly on a form-based system are:
Women's ranking.
as of May 7, 2012, according to a ranking based partly on the ELO system and partly on a form-based system, the top 10 teams are:
Competitions. National team competitions. Women's national competitions. Discontinued competitions.
Futsal at the Pan American Games, Futsal at the Lusophony Games.
FIFA competitions. Men's national teams. Continental Major. Clubs.
Futsal Intercontinental Clubs Cup, UEFA Futsal Cup, South American Club Futsal Championship, AFC Futsal Club Championship.
Discontinued tournaments.
Pan American Games, Lusophony Games.
Women's national teams. Continental. FIFA AMF competitions. Men's national teams. Continental Major. Women's national teams. Continental.